Nicofate presents The Broken. Part 1. Whimsical Espionage. The Great Blood War of 2020 ended in calamity. Its inordinate reckoning scorched the atmosphere. By 2030, the legend of vampire contorted into historical prevarication. The crimson moon glimmers on the decaying agriculture. The sky radiated a supple apple-red hue. Snow peppered the air, each flake ripe with blood and brimstone. The U.S. Capitol, once the epicenter of policies and politics, has transformed into a habitat for mavericks, human anomalies mutated by the climax of a supernatural war. Deep into the night, whispers can be heard, reverberating from the old Senate chambers.
I can't believe they showed up.
A timid voice muttered, eyes shifting to the center of the room.
Shut the fuck up, Barnaby.
The feeble man next to him retorted, wiping apricot-colored mucus from his nose. From the far side of the Senate, an eager man stood up, adjusted his maroon tie, and brushed the shoulders of his tattered suit. His peculiar stance turned his searing glare into something whimsical.
As we await the chairman, let it be known that we are here to adjudicate justice,
he declared, gesturing toward the trio positioned in the base of the Senate chamber. With a fist over his heart, he pronounced that
these vampiric aberrations shall perish.
A loud slam disrupted the patch-suit man's proclamation. Suddenly, a portly man scurried in, his plump, tangerine-like visage scrunched in agitation.
Congressman Alex, why did we need to have this meeting at 1 a.m?
He asked, adjusting himself at the podium.
Chairman, thank you for coming.
The congressman replied, making a bowing gesture. Congressman Alex patted his tie and spoke.
For the last 6 months, the Orderim and I have been surveying these vampire miscreants. They have willfully violated the terms of the treaty.
Stop!
The chairman shouted, slamming his hand against the podium.
Do you have hard evidence of what you accuse? Because all you just did was confess to espionage.
The chairman continued, his eyes rapidly shifting from Congressman Alex to the few vampires in attendance.
Sir, I submitted all of my findings to your office a week ago.
The congressman responded, his voice flustered. The chairman put his hand up to interrupt the congressman again.
We keep the nocturnal predators at bay with death row inmates and the terminally ill. There haven't been any sightings, feedings, or evidence of them hunting in or around any human encampments for several years.
The chairman explained, discreetly wiping blood from the corner of his mouth. A vampire stepped forward, his moon-gray eyes aglow under the dim luminescence of the Senate chamber. His immaculate charcoal suit sickened the congressman.
I represent the esteemed vampiric assembly. Our intent is not to ignite the ashes of war. We have honored every clause of our agreement,
the vampire declared, his raspy patois accent echoing through the Senate.
Who was speaking to you, abomination?
Congressman Alex interjected, his face twisting in abhorrence.
My name is Benji, Bloodlet.
The vampire snarled. The veins encapsulated in his moon-gray pupils began to pulsate. His cuspids loomed over pristine teeth. The woman by Benji's side altered her stance in an instant, seizing his wrist with a predatory grip. Her keen stiletto nails invaded his umber flesh. Drops of blood cascaded from the carpus. With a fierce glare, she warned.
Do not disappoint Master Marcellus.
Enough with the trivial banter,
thundered the chairman, his voice resonating like a storm. He turned to Congressman Alex, eyes ablaze with urgency.
Your fervent fascination with these beings could very well herald our demise,
he exclaimed, a warning woven into his words.
The aspirations of misguided individuals have established a conflict that has slowed humanity to a standstill. As we embark on the journey to reclaim our sense of normalcy, I refuse to entertain anarchy born from unfounded accusations,
the chairman explained with a smoldering tone. The chairman cast a sharp glance at Benji.
Unlike you, I find myself tormented by the echoes of the blood war, the acrid scent of charred flesh grappling with my senses. The shrieks of my family are all I have to mourn them, I will not relive the catastrophe of another great war. Thus we established the Orderim, a meticulously honed militia of select individuals, rigorously devised to counter the extraordinary prowess of the vampire, and they are nothing short of exceptional. We won't hesitate to obliterate you from existence without prejudice, if there was ever merit to such findings.
The chairman asserted, slamming his hand on the podium again to emphasize the severity of his words.
Your name is Benji, isn't it?
Inquired the chairman, his tone tinged with playful scorn. Benji shook his head yes, desperately trying to contain his irritation.
Where is Marcellus?
The chairman asked.
Is our illustrious king of vampires too regal for our makeshift senate?
The chairman continued, chuckling a little.
He requested that I handle this inopportune meeting,
Benji said.
Also, his presence inspires fear, and he wants to keep a good rapport between.
The so-called king of the vampires is a damn shivering coward.
The congressman roared, interrupting Benji again. Kasha attempted to rein him in, but it was already too late. The third vampire present intervened, seeking to drive a wedge between Benji and Congressman Alex.
Benji, pull yourself together,
commanded the vampire. Benji's rage narrowed his thoughts, and the insatiable desire to feed submerged him in culpability.
Move, Zavin!
He shouted, punching the vampire with ferocious force that upon impact caved in the wall beneath him.
Oh, let's get the fuck out of here, Barnaby.
The feeble man muttered as the assembly of onlookers dispersed throughout the Senate chamber. The chairman concealed himself behind the podium. Congressman Alex stood tall against the towering vampire with a defiant posture. Benji grabbed him by the throat.
When you mention the Dreadfall, show reverence, Bloodlet,
he bellowed, his fury illustrated by the veins rapidly pulsating in his moon-gray pupils. His sharp fangs dripped with salivation as he poised to draw blood. The congressman tried to retrieve an object from his jacket, but Benji's grip tightened like a vice. The congressman could feel the compression in his neck and bones as they strained against the inexorable pressure of Benji's hand. A cold, skeletal sensation slithered up the congressman's spine, a ghostly reminder of those extended midnight conversations with the chairman, rolling in his thoughts like an old film reel. If you are confronted by a nocturnal run, each one represents death incarnate. The congressman jiggled his left leg. His jovial smile was an eerie omen.
Benji, stop!
Kasha yelled, her voice breaking into his psyche. Benji was so preoccupied by the congressman that he didn't notice the extended pistol nestled at the curve of his skull.